Hello everybody and welcome to yet another wonderful week of Wednesday Comics here at Xanadu. We have a number of wonderful periodicals for you, from monthlies to one-shots to even hardcover editions. My God!
Wow.
Without further ado, how about Mr. Will take us away?
With the big book. I'm gonna kick it off with X-Men Blue #1.
Yes!
Here's the thing. Cullen Bunn just wrapped up his Uncanny X-Men run. It was dark, it was violent, it had Magneto, all these rogues. He's got the original Timeless X-Men, and this is fun. This is a back to fun, it's adventure, it's awesome. Jean Grey is leading the team. It's how the original X-Men. It's got some classic X-Men villains in there, and there's a new twist. They've already given it away, they've already spoiled it, but what in the world is Magneto leading them? So it's kind of interesting, and they have a new base of operations, and they have this really cool things to come section in it that is kind of a preview of some more classic and neoclassic X-Men villains that are going to get in there as well. Jorge Molina's art is perfection.
Yeah.
It's and I really love Cullen Bunn's. And I love, if you're old school like me, you remember when they used to have the little characters on their little heads on the side. I love
did they put that on there?
They're doing that on all the X books right now.
Oh, I see that.
So yeah, I love that.
Huh.
So anyway, a little blast from the past, while feeling very fresh and fun for the future for the X-Men.
I'm gonna hit you with that very nice, prestigious Milo Manara from Dark Horse Comics. This is first time translated into English, not included in any of the Manara libraries or previous releases. This is Caravaggio, Volume 1, and this is Manara's love letter to the famous painter Michelangelo Merisi, also known as Caravaggio, and his early years in Rome, filled with debauchery and painting, and you know, it's Manara, so it gets a little dirty, but that's kind of what you like. Seriously, though this is a very personal story to Manara. The art, you can tell that really reflects that. Gorgeously illustrated. This is the first of a few volumes. They haven't said how many there's going to be. But $20, full color, you cannot go wrong with some new to us Manara.
Yeah, and speaking of new, from the new volume of Rat Queens, we have the second issue. Rat Queens is kind of a phenomenon. It's a niche book, it's fantasy, but like starring women instead of like just a bunch of burly dudes. From Image, it barely ever comes out up until now. But it's managed to find, like, a huge following, to the point where, like, I was hanging out at a coffee shop the other day, like, just waiting around for a friend, and then, like, these people started meeting up for, like, a philosophy and coffee group, and one of them's just hanging out there, like, reading Rat Queens. It's like, okay, so even, like, a highbrow intellectual types, like, sassy barbarians. That's really good to know. This new volume is still written by Kurt Wiebe, and now drawn by Owen Gienny, and I gotta say it looks better than ever before.
Yeah.
Part of the reason that they had the whole erratic schedule to begin with was because they had a lot of rotating artists. They, you know, couldn't really stay on deadline that way. Like, someone would drop off, like, after 2 months, and, oh, okay, we gotta wait to find someone else. But now it seems to be coming out stably, like, month by month, and we have plenty of copies for everyone in that hardcore following.
Including #1.
Speaking of #1, I've got another new #1. This is another X book, and the #1 is part of the Resurrection. This is the all-new Weapon X. If you happen to catch X-Men Prime, which I think we still have a couple copies.
We just got back in. Yeah.
We just got them back in, so perfect. A little bit of a hint of what's going on. There's an all-new Weapon X. There's a new facility that is training and hunting and turning mutants into cyborgs again. And so who are you going to get together? You're going to get Old Man Logan. You're going to get Sabretooth. What I love about this is I love Domino. She's one of them as well.
Domino is really good.
And I love Warpath. And we've also got Lady Deathstrike, Lady Deathstrike was kind of part of that little mini story that kind of set it up. And so these guys are all getting together, but the Hunters are being hunted as well. So it's Greg Pak, it's Greg Land, who are reteaming for the first time since their X-Men, was it In Song or War Song? Anyway, it was one of those songs about the Phoenix. And Greg Pak is back. I like his writing, enjoy his writing, and so there you go. Lots of and once again, believe it or not, Old Man Logan, Wolverine. Even when he's Old Man Logan, he's in more than one book.
Hey man, you know
That's
yeah,
his mutant power.
That's what he's got to do.
So there you go.
It's his curse.
I feel like the Greg quotient on that book is a bit high.
There's a lot of
It
Probably
is a
drop
little,
one of
a little
those.
high. It's
Really
got a little
great.
too much land in the Greg. You could kind of cut that half out, and we'd be better for it.
I did not say that.
Anyway, Rose, number one, big
I was
new
trying to
number
be
one
subtle
from
about it.
Image. Meredith Finch recently off of her Wonder Woman run with her husband David Finch, and artist Iguara bring you the story of Rose and Thorn, but not the DC Rose and Thorn. This is a really gorgeous looking book. Hitting in on the fantasy genre as Hollywood and Image and everybody seems to kind of rotate out of the out of the sci-fi into the fantasy on their way to horror. We've got another new epic that really is quite good looking. Lots of cool magic and fantastical world building and stuff. Variant cover by Mr. David Finch as well. Yeah, new from Image.
And from Marvel, my next book is Amazing Spider-Man number 26. This is the second part of the Osborn Identity. I only just now realized the pun behind that name, and I kind of want to punch Dan Slott for it. But this is the first chapter of the story to not be a $10 issue, which I'm super psyched about. This is drawn by Stuart Immonen, just like the last issue, and features both Mockingbird and Silver Sable, who's back from the dead now.
Silver Sable's awesome.
Dan Slott's just got to bring back everyone that he kills. It's just, he's nice that way. Kind of like, you know, Grant Morrison will kill off every character that he introduces.
To have
Dan
someone
Slott
else
does
bring
the
it back.
opposite. Yeah. But
Which is, I don't know, it's kind of mean just to create some, I mean, just to kill somebody to bring them back. Like, that's rude.
I don't know, it's really playing with their soul, you know, just
Right.
let them rest or something.
Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, this story is really cool. It's got lots of, like, world-traveling espionage stuff. Like, Norman Osborn is an arms dealer now, and he may or may not have a Metal Gear in this, just saying. It's pretty sweet.
My next book is Black Panther, The Crew, number one. I hope I say this right. I just blanked on it, but Todd Nahisi Coates, he has been just killing it. He brought back Black Panther, then he helped launch World of Wakanda, and this is kind of, there was a book called The Crew back in the day, and it was about Black Panther, and they were kind of like on this, you know, Marvel likes a lot of times their Netflix series are kind of like street level heroes. They're basically who, like, why, you know, if we're going to let aliens go take over the world, we're not going to let some punk take over Harlem or the Bronx or our neighborhood. So that's kind of how it was born. And so this one, there's a death in Harlem that leads to a lot of riot and unrest. And so Black Panther and Misty Knight is going to assemble what will eventually be Storm of the X-Men, Manifold, who is in the Avengers, the most recent New Avengers, and was a Secret Warrior at one time. He was, I think. Yeah, he was. And, of course, Luke Cage. But this is really, if you're a big fan of Misty Knight, this first issue is really all about Misty Knight. And I always loved Misty Knight before. I leave her more now after watching her on Netflix. So, really cool art. It's Butch Juice. And
Butch Juice.
Guys,
Butch
I
Juice.
think that's
Guys,
something
no,
else
you know what? His
entirely.
name is now Butch Juice.
Sorry.
That's way better.
Sorry. I got the author. I was so concentrated on getting the author's name right. I like went with, you know, and I was thinking of like a I don't know. Let's just move on.
We're just going to move on from there.
Butch, I apologize.
No need to dwell.
You're awesome.
That's all right.
You've got a cool first name. What can I say? It's
Well, his
like
real
you
name
said.
is Jackson. But
Jackson.
Jackson Goyes. But Butch sounds more Butch, I guess.
Oh my god.
Please
Another
move
one
on.
from Image. This is the return of Seven to Eternity. Rick Remender's a brand spanking new super hot hit featuring the jaw-dropping art of Jerome Opeña. Holy crap on a stick is this man just like talented. Last week we got in his awesome artist edition or artist proof of the first two issues of Seven to Eternity, all in black and white. It's rude. It's just mean is what it is. You know, no, nothing against Matt Hollingsworth. Obviously, he's a great colorist, but man, there's something about the black and white that really just brings forth a whole new level to his art. But after the events of the first arc, we are picking back up for another 4 or 5 that will also see James Herron, another badass artist, filling in for Jerome Pena, because you can only put so much cross-hatching and detail monthly into here before your arm hurts and you gotta take a break. And for some reason there's 3 covers, 4 covers. I don't know why Image is doing all these covers. It's actually really bothering me.
We're going back to the roots, man. 25 years, man.
Dude, the one's even foil, alright? I'm
Right?
serious.
Chromium?
No, it's just a regular foil.
Gold
They haven't
foil.
brought up the chromium yet. They're keeping that for 30.
Yeah, yeah. You know, there's only so much chromium left
There-
in the world.
there
Just
is.
keep it all in a vault.
There is. It's next to the vibranium. You know, it's
Yeah,
right
there
next
you
to
go.
it there.
Yeah, you actually
And
can't
adamantium.
get into the vault without the keys from all of the founders of Image.
Yeah.
And you can only get
there
them
you go.
together every so often.
Right, and the Jim Lee key is now just like, he sold that to DC. They've actually got that in safe.
Oh boy. Anyways, jumping over to a completely unrelated company here. Although one with its roots in the 90s, Valiant has a new one-shot out today called The Immortal Brothers: Tale of the Green Knight. This sort of casts the Immortal Brothers, Archer, the Immortal or Eternal Warrior, Ivor, Time Walker, and of course, Armstrong. Yeah, Armstrong's companion Archer, as knights from the time of Arthur. For the Tale of the Green Knight. It's a pretty straightforward, like old school myth, but sort of taken to a superhero context here, with Archer kind of telling a story almost Princess Bride style with the framing sequence in here to Faith, his girlfriend, who has her own series, which you should be buying. Which I think is the message of this whole one-shot.
Because she's in it, right?
Yeah,
Just
oh yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah, no,
like,
she's sick in bed, like, that's the
Yeah.
whole thing. Like, he's telling her the story of the Green Knight. And it looks amazing, drawn by Carrie Nord, who's one of my favorite artists. Like, following his Instagram while he's been working on this issue has been so cool, like, seeing his pencils and everything. It's another one of those cases where, like, the colorist is good and everything, like, totally not knocking them for doing their job, but, like, oh my gosh, the original art could stand on its own so well.
Yeah, it's all about the pencils with Carrie Nord.
That's like seeing that Tomas Giorello Exo Manowar issue in black and white.
Yeah. Oh man, Valiant. I know you don't watch these, but if this, you need to put out a black and white version of that book.
They're watching.
They're always watching.
They're always watching.
It's the Chinese one.
They watch because they care about us.
My final pick is Daredevil versus Punisher #1. I don't know why I had trouble saying that, but anyway. So Wade Wilson has a new contract. Punisher is going after this same guy. Madness, mayhem, blood, guts, bullets, and some humor ensue. And there's even little Deadpool in there as well.
I feel like you just described Predator too.
I did. There you go.
We're don't get me started, man.
So Fred Van Lent, and who did the Green Knight's book, teams up with Perry Perez for this great new miniseries. Lots of fun, hijinks, blood, guts, and bullets.
Bam! Blood, guts, and bullets. My last pick of the week stands up to these other comics that we just talked about, and loudly, while giving them the finger, says, "Step your game up." And this is All Time Comics, Bullwhip #1. This might be one of the greatest superhero riff kind of comics ever. Ever. Right up there with Bulletproof Coffin. Like, seriously. This is the brainchild of Josh Bayer, who has teamed up with a bunch of underground artists, as well as classic Marvel DC artists, to bring you comics from another dimension. This is like Fourth World Kirby style, but done like in the 80s, and under the influence of just some things that don't even exist anymore, like lewds. These people were probably doing a lot of lewds if they were making this comic in the 80s. Complete with fake ads by Mark Palm, local artist, on the back with a prison playset, because all kids want a prison playset.
I definitely did.
Why
when I was
not?
young.
I definitely did. The first issue of this was All Time Comics Crime Destroyer, the dude with the fro and the giant fist on his shoulder, yes. And to top that, we have an entire council of time vampires. That's right, time vampires.
It's like Morbius,
Yeah.
but cooler.
But cooler.
Because Morbius isn't cool. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, we wish he was
Joe.
cool. But there was that horrible Joe Keating comic that came out where he was just really emo the whole time, and it was really bad, and they canceled it, rightfully so. Anyway, this issue is written by Josh Bayer and Ben Mara, pencils by Ben Mara, inks by longtime Spider-Man inker Al Milgrom, and it's weird, dude. It's straight up weird. We're talking some weird shit. The bad guy's name is the Misogynist. There's, you know, that straight up. You might, why mince words? Yeah. You need to be reading this. Really, you do. I don't care if you don't like superheroes. This is just brilliant. After this, we have Atlas, which is like Bizarro Superman, which is coming up soon. And multiple covers this week, one by Beto, which is just glorious. Woo. So, Bullwhip will whip you silly if you do not buy this comic.
Alright, and another really cool #1 here, mysteriously with the same color palette as that cover.
Right?
This is Godshaper #1 from Boom Studios. Simon Spurrier, who wrote the comic that essentially Legion, the TV show, is based on. He was on X-Men Legacy, like, basically redefining Legion for a new generation.
Yeah.
And he's done a lot of really acclaimed work since then. This is him doing more independent stuff, independent, you know, in the way that it's come to be defined in the modern comics
Boom is
industry.
more independent than, say, Image.
Drawn by newcomer Jonas Goonface, who has probably the coolest name you're going to see on a comic all week. This is the story of a traveling musician named N.A., who lives in a world where everyone is born with their own personal god, who kind of like follows them around, has superpowers, like does all kinds of tasks for them, and they can range from like ultra powerful to just little and cutesy. Everybody except for him, and about like 1 in every million people. Those people are gifted with the ability to reshape the gods of others. So he, like, sort of travels around playing music and, just doing jobs, you know, like this guy wants his god reshaped for a fashion show. He wants to look cooler. He's tired of this lizard look that it has going on. No one likes lizards anymore, come on. It's all about rhinos. But this has got really crazy art. Jonas Goonface does everything on it, as far as I can tell.
Looks gorgeous.
From pencils to inks to colors. The colors, like everything, the whole look of it actually reminds me a lot of Turncoat that came out from Boom recently. Artem Trakhanov, who is an amazing artist in his own right. This is sort of the same vibe as that, and if you dug stuff like that, you'd probably be into this. And maybe even if you didn't, if you're more into stuff like The Life After or Shudder, stuff like that. This is really imaginative, really pretty, and just a lot of fun by the looks of it. Just different.
Indeed. Boom is doing some cool stuff. Yeah. And I think that about wraps it up. We are having our monthly meeting, the discussions from the long table tonight at 6:30. If you would care to come by and chat about some comics, or, you know, I'll talk to you about Predator 2. You don't have to listen, but I'll talk at you a lot. And I'll act it out, so at least it'll be visually amusing.
Please, can you do the scene with the Predator in the toilet? That's probably the
that one was so cool, man. He's like healing himself with like the plaster off the side thing and like mixing alien technology, and then the old lady comes at him with the broom. Alright, we're not going to get into it. Watch Predator 2 and watch our video and buy comics. Life will be better.
So anyways, guys, I've been wanting to talk about Chris Claremont lately.